In this series, we're going over the all-new Maserati variant SUV, and Maserati of Tampa has given us the all-new Grecale GT in Bianca Astro over Nero. And through this review, we're going to show you the new digital and modern interior, new Maserati badging, taking us to the 21st century in a very high-demand segment with BMW, Audi, Mercedes, Porsche. What's different with the Maserati? I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides. I'm going to go over all the specs and details starting now. The Maserati Grecale GT starts off with a lot of MC components and heritage from all of the Maserati. The front is the MC20, low-mounted grille, high-mounted headlamp assembly. The Trident grille and headlights all project a 3D function, flowing out the shape of the grille to proportion out the body and cabin to the rear. LED signature headlights that's derived from the MC20, modern oval logo with the long front end, and the best ground clearance at 8 inches comparing to any of the rivals in its class. You got 8 inches, so you can do any maneuvers you need with Q4 intelligent all-wheel drive, 19-inch gloss dark alloy wheels. The wheel designs have the Trident badging design inside it. The disc behind it at 13.8 inches, the rear at 13 inches, a double wishbone front suspension with a multi-link rear suspension. Triple side air vents that was designed back in 1947. Trapezoidal C-pillar frame with the Trident logo. A linked at 190.8 with a wheelbase at 114.2 inches. This is in a lot of classes, and it's a sweet spot for pricing because if you go into Porsche, the base model will be slower than this and less horsepower. When you get to the BMW, the X3 is going to be more of a traditional SUV. The X4 will have the slope roof design, but then the price will increase. The weight distribution will be the best at a perfect 50-50 on the X4. And you get into Mercedes, this is a tough one too because it can compete with the GLC, even though that one's around 8 to 10 inches less than this. So then you bump it up to the GLE. The 350 is going to be slower in performance numbers. The rear is inspired by the 3200 GT with the boomerang-shaped LED taillights. Curb weight at 4,123 pounds, towing over 5,500 pounds with a payload over 1,400 pounds. And the towing to this is actually really good because it's going to outperform BMW whether you go into the M50i, the same thing with Mercedes and the Porsche. So you have more capabilities in a daily use. The performance numbers are not necessarily going to be the same, and the exhaust note, which you're going to hear in just a second, is not going to be as traditional because this is a Turbo 4. Power tailgate going into nearly 20 cubic feet of storage. We have a 12-volt here, LED interior lights, your privacy cover. Underneath, you'll have a little bit of storage around your battery that is right underneath there. Split fold the rear bench in the back seat, which the Levante does not offer that. Increasing the cargo, but this is a new Turbo 4 variant for Maserati. We got to go inside, start it up so you can hear that exhaust note. And if you're looking for that traditional Maserati note, when you get into the GT, it's not going to be as aggressive, but it still has a pretty good backing to it for a Turbo 4, and Maserati backs the performance. A 2.0 liter turbo L4 mild hybrid EV engine producing 296 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque that's paired to an 8-speed ZF automatic transmission, achieving 22 to 29 mpgs, reaching 60 at 5.3 seconds, quarter mile around 13.4 seconds, and a top speed at 149 miles per hour. And what does Maserati tell us with their numbers? Well, if you go to the base trims of the BMW, Mercedes, Porsche, or Audi, this is going to be the fastest variant, and in some cases have the most horsepower and torque. However, if you're trying to do more of an MSRP to MSRP, this may be the slowest variant depending on the tier. But when you're looking at what they do as a package from the exterior, I think they're definitely moving forward to the 21st century, giving all of that heritage to the exterior. Wait till you see what the interior looks like. Let me know in the comments what you think about the 2023 Maserati Grecale GT as we go inside, go over the tech, and take this for our drive. Entering inside the all-new Grecale GT, headroom is going to be the best in class, whether in the front or you'll see in a second for the back. Same thing with leg space, comparing it to Porsche, BMW, Audi, or even Mercedes. 12-way power seat adjustment, Maserati badging in the seats, and you get the pattern design. A more modern interior. The satin aluminum comes out with the air vents, a new digital clock taking care of the analog clock, and digital screens all over to take us to the 21st century. Dual 12-inch and an 8.8-inch Maserati Intelligent Assist includes your navigation, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, Maserati Connected Service, Alexa built in. Push it into reverse, and you have a reverse camera, front and rear parking sensors, full trajectory. Put it back into park. This is so it's more seamless. So you're gonna have more storage space here. The lower derived for your climate control, heated seats, and pretty much every single thing. So if you want to turn the lights on to the vehicle, you click here to do so, and you can put it on automatic, which is what I would do. If you want to change the configuration of the clock, you can also do that, but you have to do so through the infotainment screen here. If you want to do anything for your seat settings, which we do not have heated seats, you would do so here. Your ambient lighting, your stereo system, so forth and so on. The nice thing about this setup though is when you turn the AC, you can do like this. So it does full screen, so it's quicker. You don't have to just hit it one by one. Working underneath, a storage pocket right here for a larger phone. Open up to the first storage compartment with the new key fob. It's a larger key fob than the prior gen. You'll have a USB-A and C port with your cup holders. It's going to be more sport derived. Open up inside to a 12 volt and a deep storage pocket. Leather wrapped steering wheel. It's flat bottom with multi-functions, the push button start, and your driver mode select with the new Maserati badging. The gauge cluster is a 12.3 digital reader, which you can change and go through an array of information in the center for your navigation, and you can see for your MPGs. You can also change the configuration on the left side, and you can change the whole configuration of the layout to make it as sporty or relaxed as you would like. The door panel gets the push button to get out, or you have the quick release right here. Standard 14 speakers. It's going to be soft for your elbows, one touch up and down, and a small storage pocket. For the back seats, headroom is amazing. Same thing with leg space. This is the best in class for head space and leg space, and it's still a coupe design. The door panel gets your everyday materials, push button to get out with the gloss black, and you get that aluminum inlays with the same pattern structure as the front. Everyday materials are going to be on the top, but it's still soft to touch. Same thing for your elbows, one touch up and down, and a small storage pocket. The center will have two air vents, a USB-A and C port with a storage tier in the top. No storage behind both of the front seats. Sitting into the center, the same thing. Head space is no issue, nor is leg space. Even though I'm sharing feet, butt, and shoulder space, I really have a substantial amount of room when I am comparing this to BMW, Audi, or Porsche. 296 horsepower out of this, 2.0 turbo 4 with hybrid technology. It definitely has a different note to it. When you get into the GT, this is the base trim. This is pretty much as base as you can get it, more or less. There's a couple of things that we've added inside, but for the most part, at least we're still getting navigation and touchscreen capabilities, and it's a full digital reader. So I do like that right off the top, because typically when you get a vehicle at base price, you start losing quite a bit of amenities, especially when you're considering this is a Maserati. 332 pound-feet of torque, so this will put it in a category very similar to a GLC or a GLE 350, a BMW X3 or X4 base, because if you get to the M50i, it's going to have more power. The same thing with Mercedes if you go to the 450. For the Audi, the Q5, if you go to the 45, it still outperforms it, but once you go to the SQ5, this one starts lowering into performance. And when you get to Porsche Macan, the base model, this will contend with it, but once you get up the tier, just a couple trim levels, it's going to outperformance this vehicle, and this one has a higher MSRP. It does feel athletic in the interior from the driver's seat. The way the hood is, the dash layout, and the A-pillar's chunky. Dynamics. It has some good maneuverability, and that's what Maserati's known for, is being able to push it. The exhaust note is not quite what I was looking for a Maserati, but it is a Turbo 4, so we have to let a few things go. And your brakes. The first thing that I dislike is these indicators, the sound. Turn radius gets about 2 and a part lane. Let's rock and roll. It has a nice little spit to it. It's definitely not as athletic as you would expect from a traditional Maserati, but again, this is a different engine, so it's a different ball game. So I like that they are playing and trying to get a little bit more eco-friendly and still offering a powertrain that has performance numbers. And now we're going to liven her up. I mean, it does pretty decent in the performance field. It throws you back. It has that maneuverability. It has that fun to drive spirit. So I like that we're capturing all that. That's going to take me to some things I like and dislike, and that's what we're going to start off with. Is the first thing, getting a Maserati this inexpensive is crazy. I like that they are now entering and letting people get into a brand which is at a same price point as a loaded up Infiniti. That is crazy because this is a Maserati. The second thing that I like is in the interior. I think they did a great job capturing that 21st century look that they were trying to accomplish. They kept it simple, modern, and tasteful. The last thing that I like about it is the digital clock, because you can configure that for your G-force and different configuration. I think it's really cool. At the beginning, I didn't necessarily like it, but as I've had the vehicle, I start to like it a little bit more because it has functionality. Three things that I dislike, you already heard the first. The indicator charm is just too much for me. The second thing, the exhaust note, I'm more used to a traditional Maserati exhaust, so I'm not a huge fan of the turbo 4-cylinder engine exhaust note. The last thing that I dislike is the cargo charm when you're opening the trunk. I know this sounds picky, but Maserati did such a great job with all of the instrument clusters and the interior and paying attention to detail, and then with the charms they just went the wrong way. And the same thing with the exhaust. I just wish they would have put a lot more of that Maserati heritage into it, because I mean, it sounds a little bit older than 21st century. Now we're going to see that performance. One thing to take out of this is when you're looking at the class that it's in, the exhaust really does fit the class level, especially when you're at a 2.0 4-cylinder turbo. You're not really going to expect something crazy, and it is pretty soundproof. So the sound deadening in the interior is great. It doesn't feel overly large or wide, and It does feel a little bit long when you start looking back, but you're going to expect that because this is not a subcompact SUV by any standard. But for an everyday used car, I could see having a lot of fun out of it because it has good geometry in the sense of doing a little bit of cornering, and to get up to speed you will have that fun factor because it redlines relatively quick, so you will be using the shifter a little bit more so. You're a little bit more engaged because of the 8-speed ZF automatic transmission. The price, obviously every vehicle has increased. So when you're looking at the category it's in, this is luxury, but it's also touching exotic, and for the first time an exotic car has lowered the price substantially, so it is where anyone can actually buy it. I'd like to thank Maserati at Tampa for giving us this 2023 Maserati Grecale GT for our car review. If you're already a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Hawkeye community. If not, I don't know what you're waiting for. Click the next video and the subscribe button. Check out the merchandise website and Instagram and everything we do here. Hawkeye Rides.